Hello, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today in our live webinar on the PTU and trading the futures markets for income. And I know some people that might be full-time income, and some of you it might be part-time income or anything in between. So I definitely want to welcome everybody today. Thanks for joining us here in the live webinar. A couple little housekeeping things. You guys can ask questions anytime. This is fully interactive. This is live. If you're watching this live, of course, I know some of you watch it on a replay, but it's better to watch it live so you can interact. Brian Short is joining me today. He's got control of the questions and answers, so feel free. Type those in anytime. You don't need to wait to the end. We will have a little Q&A in the very end just to kind of go over any of the last questions or final things that all of you have. I'm also joined today live by Troy Noonan, so he's going to be helping me with the presentation today and talking very specifically about some of our trading from this week. So we will go to the charts and the live charts and review both today and this week and really give you an excellent feel for the kind of markets you can trade with the PTU and really where we put our focus and which markets we put our focus in. So we don't look to try to trade every single futures market that's out there. We've kind of found that there are just some markets that are much more reliable than others. So we're going to really try to define those for you here today as well, in case you're involved in futures trading, but maybe not having the success that you were after. We are talking about results, trades, performance, numbers, profits, losses. So we always want to make sure that you all understand, I'm sure you do, if you're coming into this, most of you are trading, that there is risk of loss, of course, in futures. Futures are traded with leverage, so you have to be very careful of your risk reward. So we always trade with stops. We always know what we're going to lose if it happens on a trade. I suggest, hopefully, you're doing the same. We're going to cover, like we mentioned, the best opportunities we feel in the futures market in 2013, what's been happening right now in real time. And then we're going to talk about how you can incorporate the Premier Trader University systems and education into your trading business starting immediately, plus answering all your questions as well. You may know that we were started back in 1996, been doing this now in our 17th year, have traders in, now it's over 105 countries, and our focus is always on active traders and individuals. My entire team originally came in as customers and now are on staff. Some of you probably know some of these folks. Myself, of course, in the top left, Brian in the top right, Troy Noonan will be speaking with you today as well. And then the rest of the team there who are involved in the support, the education, the training, and the development of PTU. Everybody trades, everybody's live in the markets, so it's really one of the difference makers overall in how we do things. Now in futures, you have a lot of choices. A big part of the decision goes into, of course, how much money can I make, right? That's always the big thing. But you want to make some decisions based upon the time of day or night you're available, the account size that you can start with, maybe the volatility that you can handle, and the type of risk that you're comfortable with. The great news is there really is a future or futures market for everybody. Whether you start in the stock indices, like a lot of you are involved in, whether you gravitate more towards some of the other markets we're probably going to open your eyes to a little bit, in the energies and the Forex futures and the agriculturals. That's kind of the neat thing about it. There's plenty of opportunity, and I know some of you here, usually about half the crowd is U.S. and half is what we would consider, of course, international. So it's not just U.S. business hours. Troy, I think in his demo here, when he goes to the charts, is going to talk about some markets that you can trade in the European hours. So, you know, we don't discriminate based upon where you're located in the world. There's absolutely opportunities, but you don't want to force a market to trade in hours that it doesn't successfully trade consistently. So you don't want to be in Europe and trade, I think, you know, the S&P Mini or the Russell E-Mini. It's open during those hours, but there are far better choices. Just like in the U.S. hours, we don't need to trade certain markets before those markets open. Even though they are currently trading electronically, your odds will not be nearly as good to succeed. Now, a lot of people ask us, you know, about Forex day trading, because Forex has obviously had tons of marketing support behind it over the years. In particular, for a while there, the Forex brokers were really cleaning up, you know, in the U.S. and internationally. Now, a lot of things have changed a little bit in this area, so it's not quite as gung-ho as it was, but everybody was sort of being forced into Forex, and Forex is phenomenal when it comes to swing trading. It's a lot more challenging in day trading. You'll never get me to answer the question any differently. If somebody was to say, should I day trade futures or should I day trade Forex? My answer is always going to be futures. Now, you can day trade Forex futures. That's great. But it's just easier to day trade futures. It's just the reality of it. Some of the reasons are on the screen here. Some of you know these reasons. You probably have dealt with a lot of these problems and these issues. I'm not saying you cannot trade successfully on a day trade in the Forex, but what's the point of forcing yourself to do something when there are other options available to you that are just going to be easier and work better? Another question I always like to ask people is, what do you think is better? Is it better to make $2,000 on 20 trades or $1,500 on 5 trades? What happens a lot is people gravitate towards the best bottom line. So $10,000 versus $5,000 on 20 trades. Most people go for the 10K because they're like, well, I want to make the most money. But our philosophy is a little bit different. You're going to be a lot better off making $5,000 on 20 trades than $10,000 on 100 trades because you can scale the markets in futures fairly easily. There's lots of volume on the contracts that we trade. You don't have to stop at one contract as your account grows. You can go to 2, 3, 5, 10, etc. So the point being is your costs are going to be far lower at 20 trades than 100 trades. Commissions, slippage, mistakes, fatigue, everything is going to be better. So rather than us focusing on as many trades as we can cram into a session, we focus on trying to find the best trade, or if it's trades, it's still limiting, it's still minimal with circuit breakers, meaning hard stop times, and that's what we focus on in the PTU. Now, a lot of people worry about another thing about Forex. You hear those things, it's $2 trillion a day gets changing hands, or $3 trillion, and it sucks a lot of people in. Well, don't worry. There is plenty of dollars that change hands every day in the futures markets as well. So you have some idea here, some examples, down to small little corn market. Oh, it's only $1.5 billion in dollars as far as, leverage and margin going back and forth. So there is no shortage, right, of money here. Even for Warren Buffett, there's probably enough here. Well, maybe just S&P mini. So you never have to worry that there's not enough liquidity and there's not enough markets that you can trade. It's a fallacy if that's something that you think. Now, another thing that I want to kind of define up front here, again, this is really setting your expectations properly so you can become the 11% who are successful. 89% of you are not. It's very easy to get roped into the other things you see sometimes in the futures world, which says you can make $500 to $1,000 a day trading futures. Well, I'm going to tell you that's correct, but it's not going to be correct trading a single contract. Sure, you can make $500 to $1,000 on a winning trade in the Premier Trader University with the PTU Trend Jumper. It happens for us all the time. But what they don't do when they give you this BS is they're not taking into account every single trade, winners and losers, right? Winning streaks and losing streaks and costs and everything else. So it just can't be done with one contract. It doesn't do me, any good, or it doesn't do you a good service for me to present to you something that sounds amazing but's not realistic and not true. So if you thought about the person who says you can make $500 a day trading futures, 20 days a month, that's $10,000 a month. And ridiculously, $1,000 a day is $20,000 a month. Well, if you figure that the average margin on a contract to have enough margin, not the broker minimum, is $7,500, do you honestly think that you can make 133 to 266% per month? I mean, if we could do that, wouldn't everybody be doing it, right? I mean, I wish it was the case. It's not, okay? So just kind of wipe that stuff, those expectations out of your mind. When you first start, a lot of people come into trading in this get-rich-quick mentality. You absolutely can get rich in trading. It's just not with the word quick. You just have to use compounding and patience, and you absolutely can and will get there. If you were to annualize those returns, it's stupid. You're not going to turn $7,500 into $25 million in the first year. That's what $500 to $1,000 a day is. Now, you absolutely can make that money once your account grows and once you start to scale, meaning you're trading multiple markets or you're trading multiple contracts. Absolutely. But I don't ever want to present to somebody that you can expect to make those kind of winners just starting with $5,000. You're not going to make $20,000 a month starting with 5,000. In Forex trading, you have crazy leverage. You can make 50% overnight, but anytime you can make 50% overnight, you can also lose 50% overnight. And nobody succeeds in trading with those type of losses in that short of a time span. So my point here is if you were to make more of an average gain on a trade, in a fairly good moving market, even with 80% winners, 300, 300, 300, 300, minus 300, that's $180 a day. And I say only, how sad, only $180 a day. You can have a full-time income and a huge account. It won't take that long at $180 a day. In fact, you can do it at $40 a day. So this is just, again, to sort of set your expectations in a more realistic place. We try to tell you go for $50 to $100 a day and use the power of scaling and compounding. Now, I know some of you will come in with larger accounts and you'll immediately be able to trade multiple contracts. And that's something you're going to want to do once you learn and master the strategies. You don't want to do it on day one because there's no sense to turn this into gambling. But as you turn this into a business, scaling and compounding is phenomenal in trading, and you don't need to make ridiculous returns. These are some daily averages in some of our trade plans with the PTU over a set amount of time. Now, these vary. These will go up. They'll go down a little bit. It just depends on how markets are trading. Markets are cyclical. Certain markets get very hot. Certain markets get very cold. But you can see as low as natural gas around $47 a day. And I don't know, what was the high? Somewhere with silver at 202. There's some volatility you have to deal with, some drawdown. But these are highly achievable because they're happening now in real time. This isn't fake. This isn't false. This is real trading, real results, all in, meaning winners and losers. So this is what you can expect with some variance up and down on these numbers. So I like to show this because let's think about a couple numbers. Let's think about natural gas at $47, and let's think about heating oil at $97. And let's do some numbers here on a spreadsheet I'm going to bring up. And some of you probably have seen this before from us. This is something that if you don't have this, when we send out the replay, we'll send you a link so you can get this. If you already have it, great. So let's assume that we're trading natural gas at $47 per day. The most contracts that I'm going to scale up to is 10. You can go higher, but I'm just going to say 10. I know this market has enough liquidity on that sort of thing. And then I need to put in kind of what my maximum risk per trade might be. And I know that's not the kind of thing you may necessarily know, but I think it's going to be somewhere in, we'll say 180. We'll just leave it at that. Initially, I'll start with 3% risk per trade. Our suggestion is to get that down as your account grows. And then I know some of these other numbers are a little bit foreign maybe to you, but it basically tells me that when I say I want to grow my account to $20,000 before I start taking money out. Now, you can change that to $10,000, and it will impact what happens over time on your account and when you start to take money out. And we can play around with that, and you can play around with that. And then this just says every $5,000 is when I'll look to take additional money. My point to everybody is grow your account first in the beginning. The first 6 months, you should be thinking capital appreciation, then start to think income. All right, and I'm going to ultimately try to get $10,000 a month in income. So here we are making just $47 a day on average, starting with a small account, modest risk. We want to get that down when we can. And in the first month in January, I'm going to make $940 in income. And I'm going to have a few expenses, maybe some data. You may have a few other things in here as well you can add. So I net out $890. Great. I mean, am I going to get rich on $890? Obviously not. It takes a little bit of time, as you can see. But once I get past about the 6-month mark is when things start to kick in. You notice what happened to my account by September. This would be, month 9, basically. All of a sudden, I started with 5,000. My account is almost tripled. Now look what happens. That gives me permission to start to scale. I go up to my second contract. Now I'm making $1,800 a month. By the end of the year, I'm now at $22,000 in my account. I've quadrupled my account. Not on $500 a day and silly, stupid things, realistic $47 a day. And I'm now up to 3 contracts per day. Now, I haven't yet started taking income out, right? Because I wanted to wait until I got over $20,000, which I now am. So now look what happens. I'm starting to take out a monthly income. I know it starts slow. but it's going to start to build up that income. This is just in the second year. By the end of that second year, I'm taking $3,500 a month out. I've got $60,000 in my account. I could accelerate the income if I wanted to, of course. I could change the numbers, but by the end of the 5 years, you can see I'm almost at that $10,000 a month rate. I have $307,000 that I've taken out in income in my pocket. I still have over $100,000 in my account, and this was all starting, right, with that initial $47. What if we traded heating oil at $97, right? And let's say we're going to need maybe $10,000 to start with that one. It could be less, but we'll just go with that one initially. And maybe I'm going to risk a little bit less. I don't know. Maybe I'll go for 2.5% initially. Same type of thing happens, but much quicker. I get to the point where I can double and then triple contracts. By the end of the first year, I'm already scaled up to my 10 contracts. By the end of the first year, I'm taking out $5,000 a month. My account has grown to $77,000. Think about the dramatic change just going from 47 to 97. Now, it's not right for everybody initially. And you know what? You may want to lower your risk per trade. Maybe we want to start with more capital to be safer. These are different things we can play with here, but you still can see the scaling happens pretty amazing, right? Now, if we go all the way to the very end, we've taken out, in this case, $977,000 total in profits. $474,000 have come into my income, and my account has kind of grown way beyond its needs because I should really be taking out more than $10,000 a month. You can see I don't need $500,000 in there to trade 10 contracts. But what this tells you is now you can start to trade options, Forex, swing trading as your account grows and you scale. That's the beauty of trading this way, and that's the beauty of just letting time work to your advantage. So success starts with one market, one contract, one trade. That's all you need. You need to focus on things we teach in the education, risk management, order management, speed of execution, minimizing mistakes, controlling your drawdowns, and the secret ingredient is a little bit of patience. Most people can't get through the first 6 months because they don't have a master plan. With the PTU, you have a master plan. You'll grow that account right from the beginning, and you'll just need to keep reminding yourself with that spreadsheet when it's really going to take off for you. And it's going to take off, right? Because we've said you just need to have these things, have the edge, start with one contract. But that's the beauty of scaling. I mean, what does it take to double your profits? You just got to go to the second contract. To triple your profits, the third contract. You don't do that on day one. You have to grow your accounts with your profits. But there's no business in the world that is easier to scale than trading. You don't have to open up more stores. You don't have to open up more frozen yogurt locations and hire a dozen more employees. You just need to give yourself permission to grow that account. And you can see here with a number of the different markets that we can trade what the power of the scaling can be when you start with one contract, then two contracts, then three contracts, right? It's just a matter of growing equity and having permission to start to move on to the next contract, add on the next market. So let me go to the live charts here a little bit and talk about some specifics. Let's talk about natural gas for a moment, and then Troy's going to cover some PTU trend jumper trades as well. I like natural gas because this is a market that's very much in reach for a lot of traders. Some people trade crude oil as well, excellent choice. But natural gas is nice because it's about maybe 40% less risk than crude oil. So it's a great market to start with if you want to look at the energy futures. And the way that the PTU works, as you can see, everything is very visual on the chart. I always like to point people to that. You can see the reason, well, first of all, this becomes our buy entry price. Obviously, it's always going to plot in advance on the screen. This is our profit target, the price, and this is our initial stop. And the stops sometimes get reduced depending upon how the trade progresses. Now, one thing that you're going to notice is a couple things. We're going to always have an exact plan on every trade that we take. Again, let me point this out here. Long entry price, 3.255. Long target, 3.275. That's 20 ticks. That's $200, by the way. This is $10 per tick. So just think of it like 20 points. Each point's worth $10. So this move here that happened on Tuesday is worth $200 on a single contract. Now, I said average was $47 a day. Why this is $200? That's almost 5 times the average. Again, because we're going to have losers too. We can't win on every setup. But the beauty of a trade like this is you have tremendous structure. So when this market was not cooperating as easily in the beginning, you don't have to freak out, right? Because you have a plan. You know where you're going with this trade. There's just no discretion on this one. And this is what we call power of quitting. When we're done with that trade, we're done for the day. We move on to the next day. The reason we had this setup, we teach you, these called our trend power indicator. It goes from red to green. We have a pullback into our averages. That then sends up a trade. We use momentum bars, which are very special. We have a formula, so you know exactly always what size momentum bars to use. And this is my favorite way to trade this market. If I was to go forth to the 20th, so this was just yesterday. President's Day was Monday, so we didn't trade it. On Wednesday, exact same situation, just really basically in reverse. We have the exact short right here. My exact target 2, it's a $200 move. Same kind of pattern, right? It went down to target 1, came back up, and then eventually waved lower. This took about 30 minutes, $200 per contract, straightforward, visual, exact on the screen. This is why this can be a really nice market to trade. Going forth to today, look what happened on the first trade. Every trade can work. Now, we teach you some things about something called trade for profit. And if you're familiar with us, you may see how close this was to target 2. You might know that we would have taken a profit right here on this trade. But let's just assume we didn't, or let's assume it didn't come that close. It's fine. We can't win every trade. We had a short, in this case, at, let me see what my short was, 3.249. I ended up reversing to long at 6.3, so I lost $140 on this move. I made $200 on this move. That's a $60 net per contract. I had some costs, right? I had some commissions. Call it a $50 net per contract. It's fine. It's 1 and 1. I'm done on the day. Whether or not I did and used the training, and we will teach you the training as you come through how to handle this situation, but even strictly mechanical, it's a really nice result overall. And you can kind of see over time, over this stretch of time, looks like about 6 weeks, the average per trade, $63. So a little bit above average. That's fine. Again, our averages are based over a longer period of time. More trades than not are going to work for you 2 out of 3. That's what we look for. Good, consistent performance. We go through a little sideways move here, right, for a few days, and then we press on to equity highs. Very common equity curves and everything else. Not a big drawdown. Obviously, the swings up are much higher than the swings down. This is exactly what we look for. Now, another market is unleaded gas, RB. This is a market a lot like heating oil that can have a lot of movement, and it doesn't take a lot. So this was from today, for instance. Our first trade of the session was a break even. Okay, our second trade, we went long, and I know sometimes these entry prices are a little weird if you're not used to looking at markets like this. 2.9951. It ends up going, call it 101 points, even if you're not familiar with this market, goes out to 4 decimals like Forex. It's 101 points. Each point is worth $4.20. So $0 on this, $424 on this move. It didn't take long, right? 8:13, which is 9:30 New York, because I'm in Central, to 10:33. Well, this one actually did take a little while. It was pretty sideways for a while, but we had complete structure on the chart, right? Went up to target here, had our initial stop here. The stop got reduced to break even once we hit this initial target 1, and then we just exited at our target 2, and we're done. And this would be unleaded gas. So it doesn't matter what market you're trading. We have the same structure across the board. It could be a market like the Dow E-mini. I know I'm using candlesticks here, so it looks a little different. Here's the short from today. Again, there's always structure. There's always an exact entry, an exact target. I would say that our favorites, or my favorite markets with the PTU, are definitely going to be natural gas, unleaded gas, heating oil. The Dow is great for a smaller account. The DAX is super. Some of the agriculturals like soybeans and the Euro FX futures. There are other markets you might ask me, like, what about the S&P Mini? It's not my favorite. You can absolutely trade it with the PTU, but there's so many better places to be. So let me hand it off right now to Troy, because he's going to show you some more examples. And Troy, what's interesting? I show you as possibly in here twice. So hopefully you're going to get that one. Let me know if that's not the right one.
All right, great. So I want to kind of emphasize everything that Mark's been talking about as far as, quality, not quantity. and using our dynamic goal setting strategy that kind of goes hand in hand with our dynamic trade setups. It allows us to take what the market wants to give us and quit positive on most sessions, move our accounts along, and leverage up as we grow our accounts. So I got 4 good examples here. These are 4 very popular markets that cover a pretty wide range based on the survey that we saw. I got an energy, an E-mini, an agriculture, and then the DAX for European traders. So let me start with my first 2 favorite markets that I'm actively trading every single day. And I'll start with my, I'm back and forth between what I like better, heating oil or wheat. But let me start with wheat. Wheat has been unstoppable. It's something I've been trading for several years now. And this is a good trade because it illustrates how we manage Trend Jumper. It's really simple. In fact, I want to take a couple of these indicators off just to make it simple. We don't need to see some of these right now, and this will even help illustrate my point. With Trend Jumper, the main indicator is the green dotted line, and that's called the jump line. So we're looking for near-term support and resistance levels from which to jump off of for quick and immediate profits. Sometimes they're really quick. And then we go in with 2 positions so that we can trail and catch a really big move, like you could see yesterday, in yesterday's session over here. So, and today we caught a big move too. When you get a trade set up, you see the little plus sign here. As long as you're below the green dotted line, that means you're only looking to take short trades. And if it's above the green dotted line, like over in this example, you're only looking to take long trades. So it's really simple. The target's above, the stop is below. In fact, I'll use this just to show you how nice a risk-reward ratio is. We're risking this much to make this much, which is usually going to be bigger than what we're risking. Quite often you'll even see a more dramatic risk-reward ratio. But with the second position, we made actually that much. So this is pretty common when you're trading with Trend Jumper. So we see the same type of thing on today's short trade. Today we had a setup that we actually took when our session started at this red arrow here. And so the trade hadn't gone far enough for us to ignore this setup, and we ended up taking it right here. And it took a little time to get going. The stop is here. Don't get confused by the other dots on the chart, which are trades from earlier we're not interested in. Of course, we teach this in training. We do this in the training room all the time. But so here you can see our risk right here. And our target is where this green line is. You can see that we have a little more reward than risk on that first trade. It ultimately gets that trade for 2.5 points. For those of you who like to trade the S&P, just pretend this is the S&P. Just don't look at the symbol. Every point is $50. Every quarter tick is $12.50. I mean, if you didn't know that this wasn't the S&P, would it matter what it was, really? I mean, this is such an easier market to trade. We're having so much success with wheat, and yet so many people are struggling with the S&P, and I always wonder why. Who wants to trade against the Goldman Sachses of the world? This 2.5 point trade took, not very long. Took a half hour. But then look what happened with our second position. The stop trails the green dotted line based on rules that we follow. We stayed in the trade. The stop was here at this point, and it went lower and lower and lower. Finally stopped out down here for another 7 points. 9.5 points, one trade, $475. I don't need to trade anymore. That's it, one and done. This is what we call power of quitting. And if you compare this to what Mark was showing you in building your business over time, this is the kind of market that you could easily do that. I mean, I only trade wheat 30 minutes a day. That's it. That's all I need. So let me show you my second favorite market. This is heating oil. And on this is a range bar. You see on wheat, I was showing you a tick chart where it's based on, the dynamics of order flow. This is a momentum range bar, and this is based on pure range, price range. And the first trade kicked in right at 9 a.m. And because it's a range bar, we can anticipate where the entry is going to be even before the bar closes. So it gives us this big advantage. Let me make this a little bigger. Gives us this big advantage to be able to actually get our orders in. And so that's what happened here. And because it's a range bar, every single trade is always going to be the same size. So with this trade, you could really see the win-loss rate, the risk-reward ratio. Every single trade, you're basically risking this much to make that much just on the fixed target. Now in this case, it didn't trail any lower, came up and stopped out, but it still grabbed 39 ticks in 3 minutes. That's $163. So just keep in mind what Mark was showing you to build a trade business. Do you need to keep trading? You really don't. One trade, 3 minutes, I mean, that's a good day's work. Who wouldn't be happy with that? Some traders trade this more vigorously, and if so, or if you miss that one, the next trade, also a full winner. You had a little loss here, a little break even here, but then this trade, this is what happens sometimes when you get that trailer working. You could pick up some really big moves too. But you know what? Wasn't even looking at any of this. One trade is all I needed to move my account forward and just stay disciplined with a very simple to follow trade plan. 3 minutes, I mean, I'll do that every day of the week if I can. Who needs to trade more? Limiting your risk exposure to the market is one of the key ingredients to succeeding as a trader. Limiting your risk exposure to the market. Literally, most traders miss that point, and to their unfortunate demise and detriment. So let me quickly show you what happened today in the European session with the DAX. Of course, I'm sleeping, but I still track these trades. If I ever move to Paris, this is what I'll be trading. 9 a.m. European time, Eurex time. First trade of the day was right here at 9:12. These trades canceled. So I'm looking at this new trade here. It didn't take very long for it to hit its full target for 20 points. That's 20 points times. Actually, I'm sorry. That was actually the trailer. The trailer got 36.5 points. The fixed target got 20 points. So pretty big session here. All right, multiply all those points by 25 euros, and you can see how all you need is one good trade. Now, it doesn't always work this way. Sometimes you got to trade through losses to get to the winners. That's just a part of trading. But when you can quit one and done, you're going to want to do that as often as possible. So let me just give you an example of what I mean with having to trade through some losses. This is the last 3 days in the Dow E-mini. And you can see the exact same thing. You got your setup above the green dotted line. That means we're going long. Took the yellow trade here. A little nuance in the rule with the Dow E-mini is that we just kind of trail if the setups are really small. And in this case, that's what happened. And we did this live in the trade room. And instead of getting out with only 7 ticks, we ended up getting 43 ticks per position. So this trade ends up with an 86-point move, one trade. Okay, remember the trade plan does include rules. So you not only have dots on the chart, but you got some pretty smart and simple to follow rules also that really stack the odds in our favor. And so this is something that we're always doing, is just following our trade plan, following our rules, leaning on the strategy. When you get more advanced, the trend jumper will show you when you could even build a position and add to your position. This is more advanced, but the trade is right there. You can see how well it did. We ignore that in the trade room, but I'm pointing it out. There are some people who are taking those add-ons now and having a lot of success with them. They work exactly the same way. So that was 2 days ago, 86 points. But remember, we only need to average, what, $40, $50 a day to build a significant income. So yesterday, we got a similar setup. It was too small to get out at the target. We stayed with it. It didn't go quite as far. Came down. It ended up stopping out somewhere up in here, actually. I forget exactly, but I have it in my spreadsheet, and it made 10 points per position. So instead of 86 points, we only got 20 points on 2 positions. And if you only traded 1 position, you got 10 points. At $5 a point, that's 50 bucks. If you're advanced, you took an add-on trade, and that one hit full target. And then if you miss these, or if you want to trade deeper into the session, you would have been able to catch a nice winner here to the downside. See? You know you're going short because the whole setup happens below the green dotted line. It's so simple. You know, you eliminate a lot of the stress in trying to figure out when to get in, where to get out, what direction to take your trade. And then win or lose, as long as you keep your risk small, which is, again, something we teach every day with the training, you let the odds work in your favor, do all the heavy lifting, and that's what moves your account along. So let me just show you today. You saw an 86-point day. You saw a 20-point day. Well, today started a little different. It started out with a loser. This trade just barely triggered in and then popped right up and stopped out. You know, it was only a 10-point trade, so you lose 20 points on the 2 positions or 10 points on 1 position. But then we came right back around with another short, next setup. And this one would have stopped out too, but again, because of what we teach in training, and we did this live in the room, we actually adjusted our stop up around the chart level and the key level on the chart. And it did come up and it missed that stop by 1 tick. And we stayed in this trade. Now, if you're not getting trained, if you're just trying to lean on the system with no training and just going with pure mechanical, like we talk about a lot, then you would have had another losing trade. But with the art of trading and what goes along with what we teach every day, we stayed in that trade. It went down, hit the full target, stopped out with 11 ticks on the stop out, and next thing you know, we went from negative to positive. We gained 5 points, power of quitting 1, a winner, positive. We only made 5 points today, but that's what the market wanted to give us. We were done. And so this week, we've only taken 4 trades in the YM. We've won 3 out of 4. And we're up, what, 100 and, gosh, a lot. 121 points or something like that. But let's say you stopped out here. That's okay. You just come in with the next trade. That's all there is to it. The blue one. The other one ended up canceling. You take the blue one. That one's going to come down. They hit the full target. Trend Jumper is very forgiving. So, I mean, that's just an example on 4 different markets, very limited trading. Certainly you can trade more. You could be Iron Man and trade deeper into the session. Not sure why you'd want to. Don't need to. But there's a good example, and I'll be happy to stick around and take questions later. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, great, Troy. And I think the key here for people to keep in mind, you know, on the starting out the smaller account, you know, some of the best suggestions that you know we've shown you here: natural gas futures, the Dow E-mini, wheat futures, the Euro bond for those of you looking to trade the European hours, and maybe the Euro FX futures, both U.S. and European hours. And then as your account grows, or you have a larger account, maybe even to start. Certainly markets like heating oil and unleaded gas and the DAX futures are excellent markets to kind of grow into or add to what you do. So how does it work with the PTU, the training, the education? The objective that we always have is something called a lifestyle trader. And hopefully you're hearing that message in what we're talking about here, where we're not talking about trying to start at 9:30 New York time and go to 4 o'clock New York time and take 42 trades and drive yourself crazy. You know, Troy was showing you repeatedly power of quitting 1. That's why we use the word power and quitting in the same sense, because there's a lot of power to it. You know, this is about having that full-time source of income, but not having to put in full-time. You know, it's one of our coaches, Will, says it's minimalist trading. And that's really what we're looking to do. There's no reward to turn this into a marathon. Nobody gets paid extra, right, for taking a lot more trades. In fact, usually the more trades you take, typically the less money you're making. So our focus is always on the balance between taking the best trades and the best times and just finishing and moving on to the next day. And like Troy mentions, some days the market is generous and some days it's not. We can't force that. We can't change that. There's no miracle out there that's going to turn a choppy day into a big trending day. It's just we just need to kind of roll with it and understand this is a game of averages and numerous trades. The way it works with PTU, it's a 3-step: prerequisites, undergraduate, and major. We make it really simple, really easy to work through the program. We guide you through it every step of the way, both pre-recorded and live. Like Troy mentioned, there's a big live component of this. And we start with what we call prerequisites. This is just when you enroll. We take you through some real great basic training, the way that we do things. We do things a little bit different than the crowd. I don't want to follow the crowd. The crowd loses money. So we really like to set the foundation through a series of videos and trainings that our staff has put together. So you guys, when you start to learn the trading systems specifically on these markets we've shown you, or if you prefer Forex, on the Forex markets, you've got the foundation that you need. And you can see some of the different categories here on the screen. These are the areas that we get you to focus on. I don't need to have you read 500 books and spend just weeks on end trying to learn the fundamentals. The fundamentals that we focus on are the things that actually convert to profitable trading. So this series will take you through that. We ask people to start on this right away, so when we get to the undergraduate, you guys are ready to really learn the trading systems, because that's the fun part, right? It's fun to get the indicators, to install them, to get the trade plans, to learn how to start making the trades that you're seeing us show you on the screen, right? You guys probably wanted to do a lot of those trades that you saw here today, that we had today in your account. So this is the opportunity to do it when we get to this 2-day training. And it's done comfort of your home or office. You don't have to travel or anything like that. You get access to all of the strategies that we've shown you here, plus a lot more we haven't even had time to show you as of yet. You're going to get the software, which we call our calculator, that's going to do all the heavy lifting. It's going to be the thing that's going to plot the exact entries, the exact targets. It's going to help you with the money management. You're going to know all the settings. Everything's going to be taught in the undergraduate. We're going to go through the specific rules so you know when is it a buy, when is it a sell. There is no discretion. Nobody on PTU ever guesses, oh, should I buy here? Oh, gosh, should I sell here? Should I hold on to this trade? It's literally a roadmap on the chart. I mean, this is your GPS. You're going to know exactly what to do next, and there isn't discretion in that area. A trade is a trade. It's a buy or it's a sell. The targets are preset, and you're taught all that. Same thing, goes, whether it's a market like crude, or whether it's a market like the Forex, or whether you're trading Apple options. You're going to find the strategy is going to look the same across all the different markets, but like Troy mentioned, we get very specific with trade plans. That then lets us all start trading live. You'll trade live. You'll be in the markets, maybe doing it on demo initially, maybe doing it with a small live account, to really start to go through the process and make sure that you're doing everything right. Once you start to do that on your own, you can then start the advanced training, which is what we call the major. And this is where we more focus specifically on just futures, just Forex, or just stock and options. We can get more advanced. We can talk a lot more about what Troy mentioned, which is the art of trading. And this enables us to really kind of hone in on what is different about the Euro-US dollar. It is different than the natural gas futures, right? You need to understand those nuances and those differences, the key levels, the chart levels. This is something we can then focus on in the majors. This is step 3. I mean, literally when you go through step 1, check, step 2, check, step 3, you have the entire knowledge base that you need to succeed in these markets. And just some of the markets we can trade in, we've talked about today. You can see some of the E-mini, some of the futures markets, a number of Forex pairs, which we haven't even touched on today, and then some great short list of the best stocks and ETFs to trade, whether you want to trade options or stocks. Is all part of this, and all the majors are included in the university training, all in step 3 when you're ready. You can go through them one at a time. You can choose to go through one and never go through the other 2. But a big part of this is also getting you to trade the right markets, right? Like I said, we have S&P. We have trade plans on S&P. I won't waste my time with it because I can make money easier in other places, but there's plans for most everything. But a lot of the training is guidance so you guys start in the right places. Now, training is something that I talked about. It's something really that Troy showed you live on the chart because he had the benefit of being in our live training room today. and actually talking through what we teach you in the undergraduate and the major. And if you'll go off of just the strict mechanical, you'll do fine on mechanical, but you'll do a lot better if you incorporate what we call the art of trading. So why not get a 32% bump in your profits for no additional work, no additional time, just by simply understanding the nuances, things we teach, getting in sync, key level adjustments, chart level adjustments. Sometimes it's even a specific rule that we have found on a specific market that doesn't work on another market, but it works phenomenal. Like on wheat futures, there's a rule like that got Troy into that short today on a very specific rule that he came up with. Well, that's what you learn about the art of trading, and you can have a serious bump in your profits. So these results here are all based upon mechanical. You can experience, and not every market is as significant. You're not always going to have an 80% bump. Sometimes it's 10 or 15%. But anytime you can put training and education and our experience to work for you in the markets, you're going to be that much better off. We've been doing this for 17 years. We know a thing or two or a few thousand things or two about trading, what works and what doesn't. We know both, trust me. When we develop these systems, they're usually a year plus in development to go through everything to get them out there. And that's all the fine-tuning that goes into it. So we know that go forward, we can get consistent, stable, reliable results. I know we really didn't talk about Forex today, but I know some of you, about half of you, are involved in Forex. There's great opportunities, in particular in swing trading, the Forex. And you use the exact same teachings that we show you in futures. Those of you who are already on Trend Jumper, I know some of you are, that always come to this and are ready to upgrade into the university. You get some neat extras, too, from this Trend Jumper standalone. You get the best advanced trading calculator, which is one of the best things overall. You get some additional trade plans, some additional stock and options training, and you have the ability to add on, if you want, trade assist automation. Everybody who goes into PTU gets this, so if you're not on Trend Jumper, don't worry. You get all this, all the Trend Jumper, plus the university exclusives, and then no monthly recurring. It gets waived, which is really nice as well. I have to kind of always point that out. Now, one of the big university exclusives is we have optionally available to you. If you want it, you certainly don't need it or have to have it, but there is the opportunity to do something called Trade Assist automation. You can automate aspects of your trading. You can walk away if you need to. You can go take a break if you need to. You can turn it on and turn it off. We like to teach things about the art of trading, so we don't always like to have people thinking exclusively automation, 100% mechanical, but there are times where it's so valuable. Even for me, when I'm proactive and I'm watching the charts, there are times I need to leave, I have an appointment, I'm going to miss a reversal. I can turn this on and know that it will be done for me. So this is also only available inside the university. Now, the schedule of classes, immediately when you enroll, you start the prerequisite. That's self-paced, it's at your own. You can determine which topics you should cover in more detail, which ones you feel that you've got down. In addition, we just finished a couple weeks ago the last live 2-day undergraduate class, so you don't have to wait. I don't want people to have to wait too long because the next live class is March 19th and 20th. We'll give you access immediately to the streaming replay of both of those live sessions. So you immediately can go into, after the prereq, the undergraduate, and then when you're ready, there's no rush. Take your time, start trading, start enjoying it, start making some profits. You can go into the major programs that are all available for you, ready to go. And then what I would suggest is you come into the live training on the 19th and 20th if you can. If you're out of town or on spring break, those sessions will also get recorded. So really over the next few weeks, you'll be able to go through the prereq, the undergraduate, start trading live, start the majors if you want. You don't have to start those right away, and attend the live sessions coming up. And there's also a really big piece, which is the live training that we do 4 times a week in the U.S. session and 2 times a week in the European hours. And you guys will get access to all of that as soon as you go through the undergraduate. So again, you don't have to wait until later in March to get started with that. So what you get all in, and the prices here are the value that we put on each component. The good news is I know you'll get stressed out if you start to add these up. You're not going to have a price point anywhere close to what they add up to, but you get the prereq, the home study that we talked about, the multi-day undergraduate that you can always come back and retake. And we have people come back and they just like to spend some time and sort of, come back to the future classes. No charge for that ever. You get all three majors. We used to charge $9.97 a piece for each major. We now made it all-inclusive. That was just popular demand from existing students. You get everything, all the PTU2 trade strategies, the indicators, the software, the trade plans. You get all the PTU Trend Jumper software, strategies, the advanced calculator, everything all in, all-inclusive. You also get access to our Owners Club, the forums, the library, all the archived recordings, the trainings that we have. My entire team is in there all the time adding new content, new ideas, new markets. Like I mentioned, we do 4 times a week, US session, live in the markets, right? Not knowing what's coming next. Calling the trades just like you guys are doing it, trading them just like you are. It's the best way to learn. We're not cherry picking the best sessions or only the trades that work. We show it all. You know, the warts, the winners, everything in between. No better way in the world to learn how to become a professional trader. We do group coaching calls and Q&A sessions. You have the advanced PTU Trend Jumper software. There's also a Tradestation Offer that we'll talk about here in a moment. Possibility to have your entire tuition reimbursed. Overall value, $16,964. Like I mentioned, cost is nowhere close to that, so don't worry. In addition, we do stand by and back up. We know this is amazing training. We know this is a great system. We have a 45-day risk-free guarantee. All I ask is you do a little bit of work, right? Why else are you in this? You know, review the prereqs, attend the live undergraduate or watch the replays, install the indicators, take some trades, live or demo. Once you do that, you'll never let me take it out of your hands, because if you return it, it doesn't work any longer. Nobody's going to give it back once they go through these simple, easy 4 steps, because it's going to work for you. It's going to succeed for you. But I want to make sure you understand that you're protected. We've been in business for 17 years. We stand behind this. So it is truly risk-free, and you've got that guarantee to make sure that that's the case. So what does it cost? All in, all-inclusive, $39.97 if you're brand new to NetPicks, or just do a simple 4-pay at $9.99. If you already own one of our courses, about half of you do, you can take $1,000 off, and it's going to drop down to $29.97, all in, all-inclusive, all done. Or break it up into 4 payments and go $749. In addition, if you currently already invested in the Trend Jumper, we'll give you a full rebate on that, the $997, and we'll drop down the family discount down to $2,000 all in. We got about half the class is full right now, so we're starting to run out of seats overall. Once you get enrolled, the nice thing is you guys get to start right away. So I like to kind of make that point. In addition, I have a code that's expiring today. We've been offering this the last couple of weeks, but because we're half sold now, I'm going to go ahead and remove this. So this will be the last day. If you pay in full, you can receive an additional $500 off. You just put in the code 500OFF when you go to checkout. And if you do the prepay, it's going to drop down to $34.97 or $24.97. Pretty significant savings of $500. Last day on that. We've been offering that the last couple weeks, and this is the last day overall. So to enroll, you just need to go to netpicks.com/enroll, right? Nice and easy. Make sure if you do the full pay, put in the code. If you do the payment plan, then great. There's no interest. We haven't added on any kind of extra on top of that. We just took the full pay, divided it by 4, as fair as we can be on that. So take the family discount if you have that. If not, and you're brand new to us, great as well. We'll always have a mix of both, and that's what you need to do. So one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to make a call out here for additional questions. I know Brian and I answered some of them as well, probably have answered most of your questions, but this would be a great opportunity if you want to ask me anything else, Troy anything else, if you're curious about some other markets and futures, or maybe you have a curiosity in Forex or options, definitely type those in now so we can get those questions answered. So I'll give you all a moment to do that. I wanted to show you a couple other things, remind you again, this is all about return on investment. The max cost on the course, right, is $39.97 minus the $500, which is $34.97. As you can see, not going to be difficult to get a return on investment. We showed you what you can do at $47 a day, how quickly your account can grow in the first 3 to 6 months. That's all you need to do to succeed at this. You're going to have the exact markets, the exact plans to be able to succeed. If you go the Tradestation route, and this is a way you're willing to go, they will also code your account and start reimbursing you up to 100% of the tuition. And on futures in particular, you'll immediately be eligible for that. So while you're taking trades, while you're making profits, they're also going to be paying you back up to the full $34.97 whatever level you came in at, even if you're on the payment plan, same exact thing. So why not? I mean, if this is something that can work for you, take advantage of it. In addition, they'll give you 6 months free of the platform or even some additional commission rebates, and that's something that they make available. If you prefer NinjaTrader, we have an amazing deal with NinjaTrader and AMP Futures, where you can get wholesale commissions like $3.50 round turn. Crazy good. That's another great way just to earn yourself back the tuition fee. Again, we make no money from TradeStation, AMP, Ninja. We always tell them to pass along everything to the customer. No compensation. We don't want anything. It gives us the best overall deal for you guys. Now, there's other academies, universities, etc., that are out there. By and large, 10,000 is kind of the going rate. And there's a little trick that a lot of these places do. They have levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. By the time you get everything that you're going to want, it could be 20 grand plus. The nice thing about us, I know it's an investment. I know $39.97 or $29.97. It's not chump change. It's an investment. But it is an all-in, all-inclusive with no recurring. So at least you know that's your investment to get you everything that we've been talking about. So let's go to some questions. Brian, first thing I always like to do is you usually have a couple that you want to kind of talk about. So I'm going to give you the mic for a moment.
Sure. You've been talking quite a while there, so you need to rest those vocal cords. First of all, one of the common questions that I was answering in the chat, I'm just going to go ahead and announce it, is what platforms are supported in PTU, the indicators that Mark showed you and that Troy showed you. That was TradeStation. So TradeStation obviously is one of the platforms that we support. NinjaTrader is another option, another great option for traders to use. And then we're going to be coming out with a MetaTrader 4 for those traders using that platform for Forex only. And so you will have that option also. So those three platforms are supported with the indicator set. Keep in mind that you can trade with any broker of your choice. You just need to make your charting decisions with one of those supported platforms. And other than that, I think we've pretty much kept up with the questions. There were a lot of good questions about tax accounting questions, and so we responded to that. And I think we're pretty much caught up. If there's any question that did not get answered, go ahead and get that in. And then, Mark, if there's anything you read, if you read down through the list there that you want to announce to the group, go ahead and do that.
Sure. For George, on Thinkorswim, you can definitely trade with Thinkorswim. I think TJ, right? You trade with Thinkorswim, if I remember correct. I know Mike Rixey does as well.
Yeah, I do.
So, go ahead. Sorry, TJ.
I like the fills. I mean, I think they're great. I have a vertical monitor. I use a lot of monitors, and one of them is set portrait size, vertical. So I could stretch the ladder down and get the entire trade right in front of me with the brackets, and it works really well.
Great. Yeah, and we, like Brian mentioned, we always emphasize that we have traders located, everywhere throughout the world. So you're not compelled to trade in any particular broker. You have the flexibility to trade where you like. We just ask you to chart on TradeStation, chart on NinjaTrader, or like Brian mentioned, we're going to have MT4 compatibility, Forex only, and on the PTU trend jumper portion of it coming up here shortly. So, but feel free to trade, wherever you like. I trade different places than TJ does, and Brian trades somewhere else. So, we're all a little bit different in that area. Anthony, on your question, yeah, that is something. If you already have a TradeStation account, you can still get the scholarship. It does entail opening a new account, and then of course you can just do a pretty simple fund transfer. The reason for that is that their accounting department will code your account in a particular way, and they can't do that on existing accounts. But we've had a lot of people in the same situation, so absolutely, you're still eligible for it. It's just a matter of, it's administrative, really, that you have to do. Richard, yes, for Keltner Bells, you get the $1,000 off, so you do get the family discount, so you'll drop down to $29.97. If you use the code on the final day here today, you can get down to $24.97, or, of course, feel free to use the 4Pay. Brian asks, what time are the best markets traded? So typically, just to give you a pretty quick outline, the energy futures in general, 9 o'clock a.m. New York time is the best start time. I mean, there's a little fluctuation there based upon our trade plans, but that's a good average. Stock indices futures, 9:30. Really, we usually start about 3 minutes after the open, so 9:33. The agriculturals, 10:30. That's definitely the start times. Those are all, of course, the U.S. market hours. The metals, you're typically going to start on those at 8 o'clock a.m. New York time. So that's when we do that. All right. As far as European hours, like Troy, you mentioned on your DAX, I think it's 9 a.m. German time, right? If I remember correct.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in the habit of setting all my charts to exchange times just because everyone's all around the world. Helps keep it uniform. But it would be 9 a.m. Start time as far as the Eurex. I think that is German time.
Yeah, and that would be for the DAX or the bond. We don't trade that first little electronic hour, so that 8 to 9 in that session. So
correct.
That would be your best times, on that. As far as like the Euro FX futures, starts about like around 8:30 New York time, or if you're talking New York time, about 2 a.m. New York time, which of course is normal business hours in Europe. Do any of the trading rooms focus on swing trading? So I know, Troy, that you cover your Forex swing trades, I believe, on a regular basis in those rooms, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. We'll get in there a little bit earlier before the energies start, and I'll cover what's current. I also answer questions, so if anyone has a specific question, when things slow down between the live trades, I can pull up charts. And we're in a whole bunch of swing trades right now, and they're all just at various stages of development. It's just been rocking and rolling. One of the things I love about the swing trades, as you know, Mark, is being able to check your charts just once a day and then go to sleep. I mean, for me on the West Coast, it's great. Go to sleep, wake up the next day, and this whole week, it's been wonderful. Making money while sleeping, you can't really beat that.
It's like Christmas morning, sometimes unwrapping a present, when you get pretty excited to check the chart. I mean, I do the same thing every morning too. It's like, I just can't wait to take a peek, and see what's there. So it's kind of fun. It definitely is when it's moving like this. Let me see. Oh, and then also twice a week, Mike comes in there and does a update of options trading on the swing trading side. So you also get access to that. Anthony D, yes, you'll get the 500 off if you're a family member on the full pay. So if you do the $29.97, it'll drop you down to $24.97. We don't have it available on the Trend Jumper, the 2000, because we're already giving the family discount and the full Trend Jumper. So that's 2000. The discount code doesn't work on that one. We had to exclude it from that one, but otherwise, it definitely worked fine. We don't swing trade futures. This is to Andrew M. I'm not saying that you can't and that we won't at some point. We get requests on it. There's a lot of issues with swing trading futures, from the risk that you have to put forth, the size of the account, some of the things that can happen overnight in futures. Forex is much more manageable, interesting enough, because we talk day trading only on futures, and then we talk swing trading, we start talking more Forex and stocks. So I do see that we'll probably develop some plans in that area, maybe on the interest rate futures. I don't probably see a lot on the stock indices because you start to lose, due to the higher margin requirements, some of the really the reward risk isn't as good, and the leverage, et cetera. So that's kind of what we have found. We try to steer people in where we think, in 17 years of doing this, you're going to have the best opportunity to succeed. But I can see eventually us having a little bit of that. And let me also tell you that nothing prevents you from using PTU Trend Jumper, PTU2, the Trade Assist automation, if you choose to add that later on, in any market you want to look at. We have people who diverge and use this as their foundation, and then they go ahead and look at some other markets that we just may not be involved in. So you absolutely can do that.
Yeah, and also I just want to add, remember what we were talking about. It's about risk exposure to the market. And most people are not blessed with a 7-figure trade account, which is what you would need to trade futures if you wanted to keep that risk at the proper level. Because otherwise that 7-figure trade account would turn into a much smaller account really fast. Losses come when they come, and the last thing you need is to be swing trading with $2,000-$3,000 risk per position and pick up 3-4 losers in a row sometimes to get to the winners after, but by then you're probably quitting. So trading futures is best kept to day trading, and with Forex, I mean, you could choose your position size if you have a good broker, and you could keep that risk small. So for me, I prefer the swing trading with Forex for that reason. You can catch some really big moves and still keep your risk at a manageable level. And that really is the key to success in this business.
Absolutely. Jake says, I need help with training. Yeah, so Jake, I think like Brian mentioned, the university is all in indicators, software, art of trading, education, all the trade plans, the trade systems. That's the whole idea behind it. To answer Don's question, yeah, the 500 off promo doesn't work on the Trend Jumper special price because you're already getting the $1,000 off and the $997, so you're dropping down $1,997. So eventually we had to kind of put a stop on all the cuts on that. So that one is the 2,000. That's the very best that we can do. But the 500 promo does work on the family $29.97 or the first time in $39.97. Ken, yeah, it's a good point. Forex is not regulated. Well, Forex is regulated. It depends. I don't know what country you're in. Here in the U.S., it's heavily regulated and sometimes to our detriment. But there's no question that futures has centralized clearing, one exchange, one price point, meaning there's one high, one low, one close. Forex can have variance by the broker. So there are some real advantages for sure. It's one of the reasons why day trading futures is smarter. Because when you day trade Forex, you're subject to a lot of that weirdness when you're trying to scalp out small numbers. When you swing trade Forex, a lot of that kind of goes away. It gets absorbed. That's why I think day trading futures tends to be the smarter way to go. And a lot of that has to do with the centralized trading and regulatory issues. Let me see if there are any final questions as I scroll through. TJ, anything else you want to leave people with before I check for any final questions?
Only that it's a pretty exciting time to be involved with the markets. I mean, there's some historic things occurring. I don't know if you've followed the headlines, but the pound, for example, losing a lot of value on the dollar and has broken through key support levels. And, we've been in those trades. It's good to have a structure and format that you can lean on and rely on. It takes so much pressure off of you, and that's why these strategies work so well, because of the great training that goes with it. So just want you all to think about that, whether you get on board with us or not. And for those of you who did get on board, I want to give you a big warm welcome. I look forward to meeting you in the live trade room, and I want to encourage you to ask questions, because that's what we're here for, and we're committed to each and every one of you succeeding with us.
Super. Thanks, Troy. Andrew says, can you day trade futures during a finite period each day? Yeah, you absolutely should not, do not, will not, won't want to trade those markets all day. So we have these trading zones, these trading windows, and they tend to be, on average about 2 hours. But that's the entire window. Most of the time we can get done way before that. I mean, Troy showed you a trade that was done in 3 minutes from today. Now, it's going to be 3 minutes every day? No. I mean, it could be 3 minutes, an hour into the 2 hour window. But absolutely should not be trading all day. In fact, we're done. We've been done for a while on all of the day trading markets and the futures. We're not going to look at anything else. So it's a get in, get out, get done. You've heard us say that before, and definitely the case in the futures. Grace, is there any training for back testing? Definitely. In fact, that's one of the things that Troy actually particularly teaches in the undergraduate, because we want you to do some practice so you get everything right. And when you go live, you'll already kind of have built a bit of that reflex. So when things are happening, in real time, you're placing the trades properly and also building the confidence in the system. So definitely that's an aspect of what we teach. Joan, yeah, I mean, you may want to contact or talk to Brian directly on that. The PTU has been out, and it's been out for quite some time. So we were offering at that point as well. In fact, in the presentation, we talked about allowing you to upgrade into the PTU University and giving you 100% trade-in. So anyway, I'll just kind of have Brian handle that. What instrument can you trade at night Eastern time? So typically, you're not going to really be trading any of the futures markets unless we're talking, night Eastern time, so we're not talking early morning like the DAX. and the Eurobond. So you're mostly looking at Forex. I think, Troy, that's what I would say. I would say like the daily charts would be perfect, nighttime Eastern, correct?
Yeah, definitely. And, there are some exceptions to the day trade with Forex mentality that we don't like to day trade, but I've been able to come up with a trade plan here and there that actually works in the evening, like from 9 to midnight. You might call that the Asian session. Some 15-minute charts, for example, with some of the pairs. Not my favorite, though, because, if it's winning and it's going in your direction and you're trailing, you got to be ready to stay up all night and manage that trade for greater profits, and that's hard to do. I mean, but it's doable. It can be done.
Excellent. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Been a great group. You guys asked a lot of super questions, which I really appreciate. I like the interactivity. I like to take advantage of the time that we're here, and I hope we really steered you in the right direction. I know we did. In futures, I think, if anything, we can change some behaviors and the things that you're doing. The real key concepts are the markets you can trade and the realistic, daily averages and how you can build that over time. If you take away anything, that's going to be a real difference maker for all of you. Contact information on the screen, phone numbers, emails, the enrollment link. Our next education webinars, we have one on Forex trading coming up, so by all means, feel free to sit in on that one as well. Be more than happy to share our information in there. So definitely that. Thank you to Brian for answering all those questions in the background, and Troy as well for your demo. So rest up, everybody, and we'll be back in the markets tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Troy.